Well, David, this is not how we usually spend a Sunday morning in February, about this time of year.
Good morning, my loves. Lovely to see you.
And
And
you?
I've missed you this last year.
I know. We've not seen anybody. It's horrible. Can't wait to all get back out. But yeah, normally we're at Stoney Park for Reis Race Retro.
We're normally coming down from the Stoneleigh Park Lodge, looking at the crowds walking in and thinking, God, they must have had a good night last night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so if Saturday, Saturday is always a great day at the show, and then Sunday it's that sort of final push, and it's always a lovely relaxed atmosphere at Race Retro.
Yeah, it is. It is. I always felt that Friday was a sort of day for the older enthusiasts. They would say to the missus, "Is it all right if I go to this Race Retro show?" And she'd say, "Yes, all right. I'll take you shopping tomorrow, love." So then, of course, we could never. The reason that people perhaps never understood why we don't have live action on the Fridays because the site is live with other companies working there.
Absolutely.
So we can't obviously have rally cars tearing around it on a Friday. So the rally stage and the other outdoor activities have always been Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, and they certainly put on a show to make up for it.
We've had that wonderful day on Friday, which over the years has become sort of the historic motorsport trade day. And then the following day, we start to get the other enthusiasts coming in for, bringing their sons to see what rallying was like when they were out watching it in the forests and that sort of thing. So really good.
Well, you've been involved. I mean, I've probably been about 14 years I've been involved, and it was you who brought me into the show. But you were there right from the beginning, weren't you?
I was, yes. The first year of the show, Ian Williamson had started the show. Ian Williamson had started. And no, that's just Waterloo. And of course, Ian and I had known each other for many years. An interesting guy. He was a works trials rider for the Francis Barnett team. And I can remember watching him ride because I was brought up amongst a lot of trials, motorcycle trials and things. And then later on, he came into car trials, which I was doing at the time, and we got friendly. Anyway, I'd been overseas for a couple of years, and I'd come back, and I was looking for something new to do. And Ian rang me, and he said, "I need help with this show that I'm running." It was very close to the show. It was only a month before the show.
Wow.
And he said, "I know that you could help me out with this live rally action stage that that we need to run as a feature." So yeah, okay. So I went along, had a look, and thought, yes, I could see what they were proposing, but I could see that the way they were going to do it wasn't really going to work for the show public. So I took control of it, changed it around, made it into a spectacle, which is what we wanted.
Yeah, definitely.
So that people could come out from the exhibition for just an hour or so, see the noise, the smell, get outside, take their sons out and show them what it was like, in the old days, and then go back into the show. So we did it, and the first run was fine, and the second run in the afternoon, the weather absolutely came down. It was horizontal sleet. Ian said to me, "There'll be nobody up there." I said, "There will, Ian, they're rally enthusiasts." And right enough, I went up there and I worked out that there were almost 2,000 people lining the fence watching it in horizontal sleet. And I thought, yeah, this works.
Yeah,
we need to just make it better next year, which of course we did. And subsequent to that, in subsequent years, I joined the team full time and took over as show operations manager and show content manager. And I was very pleased when I brought you in,
and me.
And that you were there. you were there to do the PR, and of course you loved the show like the rest of us did, and I must admit, I was in it for a long, long time, and I was getting a bit short of ideas towards the end, and I was delighted that you took on the mantle of show content and really pushed it. And I think together we had a great time, didn't we?
We had an amazing time. We have had a brilliant time together.
Yeah.
And so who were your celebs on that first year? Who, we always try and get a big name for the show.
Well, in that first year, we had the very glamorous Rosemary Smith, and that was the first time I'd met Rosie, who's an absolutely wonderful lady, lovely lady.
Amazing lady.
We've been friends ever since. And I always remember, I have this memory for all sorts of little details, but I remember Rosie was a tall, elegant blonde lady with a sort of purple puffer coat. And everybody was, who's that? And there's Rosemary Smith, and we put her in a Hillman Inn. And also the other two celebs, we had Tony Fall, the late Tony Fall, in a Cooper, and we also had Russell Brooks and Pentia Ricola. Now Russell, of course, a West Midlands lad, so a huge following there, and it did make a note on my mind that when we were watching the action, there were dads there with their sons, and they were saying, "Now look, son, this is what it was like. I remember Pentia Ricola and Russell Brooks fighting it out in the North Wales forest, and I was there in the middle of the night. And this is rallying, son. This is what it's about." It was wonderful. It really was great. And Russell, of course, stayed with us for years.
Every year. Even when he couldn't drive anymore, he still came. Even though he wasn't so comfortable when his Parkinson's sadly really took hold of him, he'd still take the microphone and still go and do an interview on the stage for me. He was such a lovely man.
He was a smashing guy. And he used to ring me up every year and say, right, I've put up a ride with me on the rally stage as a raffle prize for his charities. And is it okay to do it? And I said, Russell, come on. So we did it every year.
Yeah.
And I must say that we had wonderful support from two of the particular owners of the ex-Russell's car, the Andrews Heat for Hire cars, the Lotus Sunbeam, which of course is the most familiar one, and the Manta 400.
Yeah.
So we had those cars available for him to drive. And he was a superb rally driver.
Oh, amazing. And just a lovely man. I remember him taking my nephew around the rally stage in a passenger, and he was when he was 16, and it would never forgot it. My nephew hasn't. Loved it. We have been very lucky with the people we met, because like Rosie now, still joins us every year at the show.
Yes.
And we are very lucky.
I think Rosie refers to me as the little fella with the big tash.
That's a pretty good description, to be fair, David. I often, if I say to people, David Alderson from Reis Director, I'll go, the Colonel, it's the Colonel. So I've been very lucky with some of the names and some of the people you've introduced me to over the years, who are just incredible people to know. I mean, that year that we had Sterling and Murray Walker, so Sterling Moss and Murray Walker together on the stage, was one of the best weekends of my working life, if not my life. It was amazing to be Murray's minder for the weekend.
That was very special, wasn't it? I'd long thought of trying to get Murray there, and it took me quite a while to negotiate with him, but he came up, and of course, Sir Sterling, we regularly had contact with him, and we thought, what a fantastic weekend. And I never realised just how popular Murray Walker is until he came. And we were just inundated with people wanting to see Murray Walker.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful, and such a nice guy. And of course, when you're running a show, you're always looking at the pennies and the budget's tight. And I remember when I negotiated with him, I said, I'm sorry, but there's no 4-star hotels involved in this. I said, you have to stay with us, the rest of the crew, the show crew and whatnot in Stoneleigh Park Lodge. I said, but it's fine. I said, there'll be lots of people there that, you know, rally people and racing people and motorcycle people, and you get on with everybody. And he came and he went up to the hotel, and traditionally over the years, because I'm originally from Morecambe and Morecambe Car Club, I've been a member for, well, I think 55 years or something. And my old colleagues from Morecambe Car Club come down every year. Sadly, less and less of them now, but we got together, and Murray came into the bar with me at the hotel, and I said, I don't know what you want to do for dinner, Murray, but if you want to join me and my Morecambe Car Club pals, we'll have a chat. And so we sat down together, maybe 10 of us, including Tony Mason, who, of course, was originally from the club. And we had a great night, talked about all sorts of things. And Murray came to me the following morning and he said, that's the best night I've had for ages, because we weren't all sort of wanting autographs and everything. Everybody, they were just, you know, ordinary lads, Morecambe Car Club lads. You know, we were young tigers in the 1960s, but we're old blokes now, you know. And yeah, it was good fun. It was a great night. And what a character he was.
He was amazing. I picked him up in my Fiesta and I felt very embarrassed I was picking him up in a Ford Fiesta. And straight away he was like, best car in his class, don't worry about it. And like he'd be signing autographs and he'd pick up a picture that somebody bought and say, that's my dad. And it was this year, this month, you know, the bend on the circuit, the name of the bend. Mind was like amazing. He is an incredible man. And knowledge of information, the amount of information he holds is unreal. Incredible man.
It was
somebody else that you had the privilege of having at Reis Retro, who I have relentlessly pursued. It's a lady I'm asked about all the time, and for the last 4 years I've asked her every year, and every year got the same answer, is the amazing Michelle Mouton.
Michelle Mouton, that was sensational. To get her there, I mean, in my book, Michelle Mouton is one of the world's best rally drivers. And we'll leave the word lady rally driver out because she is a rally driver. She was, in my mind, and many rally enthusiasts' minds, she was the 1982 World Rally Champion. Sadly, the team made the wrong decision and supported Walter Roll on the Safari Rally. Otherwise, Michelle would have been the champion without question. But I spent a long time negotiating with her secretary, because Michelle lives in Monaco, of course. And fortunately, that particular year she came, she was promoting the Race of Champions at the Wembley Stadium. So she had, you know, a good reason to be in this country. I also knew where the Pikes Peak car was, the car that she'd taken the first attempt at Pikes Peak Speed Hill Climb. And the owner of that car was a good friend of the show, and he had run the cars at the show before. So I managed to negotiate for Michelle to come. And she was everything I imagined she would be. A very, very attractive lady, very glamorous, very nice. I mean, I can remember when she finally arrived and her secretary said, oh, you must be David. I said, that's right. And Michelle got out of the car because I'd sent a car to pick them up from the airport. And she said, David, I am here. What is it you want from me? And I thought, oh my God, what? Just let me get my breath back. Anyway, so we also got the fabulous Pikes Peak S1, you know, which was, I don't know, 600 brake horsepower or something. And we brought it, the owner brought it down for us. Now, he had driven the car for us and he made it, I mean, it was an impressive car. And he made it look good with flames and noise and all that sort of thing. And we brought Michelle, she put her overalls and a helmet on. And the owner of the car said to me, Johnny was called, he said, can is it all right if I go with her? I said, John, it's your car. It's your car, man. So we strapped the pair of them in, and off she went. And I've never seen anything like it. She had that car. She had the wastegate chattering at the end of every short straight, and then flicking it one way and then flicking it the other way. It was a sensational drive. That lady could drive like she was a rally driver, the ultimate. And they came back in, and John sat there in the car, and got out of the car, and he looked at me, and I said, well, what was it like, John? And he didn't say a word. He just went.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we took her into the show, and of course she was grateful with everybody. She was very aware of her public. She signed autographs for everybody. She signed model cars for people, and she was absolutely charming. And and I did. And the bonus for me is I did get to go to see the Race of Champions.
Oh, that's good. And you got a picture of it of you with her, which your wife was never happy about, was she?
My late wife was never happy about the photograph. I was giving her the driver's briefing. Yeah.
Now another guy, somebody else I remember having at the show, a driver, and we had a celebrity who owned his car. And they went out together on the stage, and that was quite a different outcome. Was when Bjorn Waldegard came to the show, and JK from Jamiroquai owned the Porsche.
That's right.
That was good
yes, because each year I would think about what we'd have a feature mark or something like that. And that particular year, we decided to go for Porsche, and of course, we were able to cover the rallying and the races, and we had the Porsche 956, 962 GTs, and we had the rally cars. And I was aware that JK of Jamiroquai owned the 9146, which Bjorn Waldegard had driven in the 1971 RAC rally, I think, not RAC, Monaco rally, Monte Carlo. I may have the year wrong, but anyway, it was a very rare car, and I wanted to get that car because it was a genuine works car, and Bjorn had finished third overall in the rally. And I happen to live near Silverstone, so I'm in sort of Motorsport Valley, and I knew the guy who looked after JK's cars. So I had a word with him and said, has JK got that 9146? And he said, yeah, he's got it. I said, I'd like it for Race Retro. Oh, he said, I don't think he'd be bothered. I said, would you give him a message? Will you say to him that if he'll let me have the car for Race Retro, I would put the original works driver in it for him to demonstrate it? Yeah, I'll tell him that. So a couple of days later, I was sitting at my breakfast table, and the phone rang, and this cheery chappie said, hi, Jay here. And I thought, Jay? And he said, hey, what about my Porsche? And he's exactly as he is in Jamiroquai. He's a bubbly guy. Yeah. And so we made a deal. And then I got on to, that was the year that Bjorn had won the Safari Classic in the 911.
Right, yeah.
The Tuthill Porsche. So I got onto Tuthill's, and I said, look, well, I rang Bjorn and said, I want you to come over. And I've said, I've got the 9146, and I'm going to get the Tuthills to bring the Safari Porsche. So Tuthill said, well, the only trouble is the car's got broken. He rolled it when he won the Safari Rally, and the car's all smashed up. It's got broken roll cage and everything. I said, well, it doesn't matter. It's just a demonstration, So we got the two cars together. JK turned up. He was absolutely beside himself with excitement. He got a brand new race suit. He got a brand new helmet. And the idea I discussed with him, I said, well, look, I'll put you in the car with Bjorn. He'll drive you around, and we'll compare the two cars, and then you can have a drive around. Yeah, he said, that's great. I'll do that. So we put we started with the 9146. Bjorn said to me, oh, I never liked that car. He said, didn't handle well. He said, I much prefer 911, better car to drive. But he said, okay, I'll take him round. So he went round, and of course, Bjorn was another absolutely superb rally driver, the first world champion, of course. And he just hurled that 9146 around. And it was sensational. And they came back into the paddock, and we had to swap JK. We had to swap the pair of them. And JK, when he was getting out, I thought he's a little bit shaky, Anyway, we strapped them into the 911, the Duthill 911, and Bjorn went out again. And he absolutely nailed the 911, completely sideways. I remember we used to have a grass bank to one side of the track, and Bjorn went up the bank, tail first, never lifted, and came back round the corner. Just sensational drive. Back into the paddock, and got them out of the car. And Bjorn walked round the car to JK and said, I told you the difference between the 911 and the 914. This is why I like the 911. It's a better car. And JK, yeah. And so I said, right, JK, you ready to have a go yourself? And he said, no, I think I'll go and have a look in the auction and see what's for sale.
You didn't get him in a car again, did we, that day, JK? I think he did to go and have some retail therapy, I think it was called. I remember him buying quite a few things.
That's right. Yeah.
Brilliant. Bjorn was a great character when we had him. He was always lovely, and you often find that they just like to go off and have a mooch around themselves, and they don't want any special treatment. They just, it's not like modern motorsport where you've got like their entourages and everything. Most of the time they come and they want to walk around the show and be quite unassuming if they can.
Bjorn was terrific, and I remember the first time I brought him over, I'd done the deal with him on the phone, and he came over, and we'd arranged, I think I'd arranged possibly an escort. I think it was an escort I'd arranged for him to drive. And the cars had gone from the Parc Fermé in the old cattle sheds up to the stage, and I was rushing around. I used to tear around the site on a golf buggy, rushing round to I've been dealing with something in the exhibition hall, and I thought, the rally cars have gone up, I better get myself up there. So I went tearing up the back, and I see this tall guy in a racing overalls with a helmet under his arm, and I thought, I recognise him. Anyway, I drove up to him, and it was Bjorn. He was walking along. All the cars had gone, and I pulled up alongside him, and he said, I am a rally driver. I said, you certainly are. And I think you need some assistance. I said, would you get in the buggy and I'll take you to your car? And that was the first time I've actually met him physically. And what a lovely guy he was. And, he was, again, sensational to watch on the stage, particularly good with things like the escort and whatnot. Yeah. And he did take my son round. I said to him on the Sunday morning, my son used to come and help us drive the buggies around with the VIPs. And I said, would you mind taking my son around? And he said, oh, no. He said, I'll give him a ride. So he went round on one trip, and, I had 50 years of competition driving. I was reasonably good, but I was a clubman. And I had some success. And afterwards, my son said to me, I said, well, what was it like driving with Bjorn? He said, Dad, I can't put it in words. He said, it was sensational. And he said, I've often wondered why you weren't a professional driver. And he said, you always said to me, you were good, but not good enough. And he said, I know what you mean now.
Charming. Brilliant. Now, you mentioned the buggies there. I'm going to try and get a story out of you now that's one from after hours, because what people who visit the show see is this great event and there are lots of fun that's had, by all. But the fun doesn't stop when the show closes, because I remember hearing a story about your golf buggy and a certain former world sidecar champion, and a race. Explain yourself, Mr. Alderson. Explain yourself.
Well, I've always been a bit of a fan of sidecars. My father was a competition rider, and he was a good sidecar man back in the very early 50s. So I've always had a soft spot for them. And I mean, I've had trial sidecar outfits on the indoor trial, which I think is possibly the only time it's ever been done anywhere.
I remember that. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, this particular year, I decided that we would celebrate British sidecar world champions, and we have had quite a few sidecar world champions from this country. You know, people following sidecar racing tend to think about Swiss and Germans. That's basically because they had the BMWs in the 50s and 60s. But anyway, we've had a lot of champions. So we had a really superb display of everything from 1952 Norton Watsonian outfit that Cyril Smith had won the world championship with, the wonderful Stan Dibbons as his passenger. And Stan always said, "Don't call me a passenger," and he's quite right, because without the man on the chair, the rider can't win.
No,
he needs that. It's a team effort. So, and it's an incredibly close team effort. Right up to the guy at the time was the current world sidecar champion, Tim Reeves. And so we had the outfits, and we had all this crowd of people. Now, they are a great crowd. And we always used to have the fire engine bar, as you remember.
Yes.
Running Hall 3. So, and they'd all been on the stage. I'm not sure whether it was Gemma who'd been interviewing them, but they'd all been on the stage on the Friday afternoon chatting about sidecar racing.
Yeah.
And I'd gone down there, and we were coming up to, we were mopping up towards the end of the day, and the fire engine bar was there, and I went down, and all these guys and one or two ladies came off the stage, and we all decided, there was, come on, let's have a beer. So we went to the fire engine bar, and we're all having a drink, and we're having a good chat. And of course, it went on fairly
late.
Good fun. The public had all left, and we always used to have the preview for the auction on the Friday evening. A special guest would invite, go and come across, have a glass of wine or champagne or whatever, look at what's available in the auction. And I had a handful of invitations. So I said to these sidecar guys, who, by then we were all having a good laugh, I said, who wants to go to the auction? Come on, who wants to come with me to the auction and see what cars and bikes and things are for sale? Oh, yeah, come on, let's go. So where is it? Well, it's across in another part of the showground. I said, well, don't worry, I've got a buggy here. I've got 2 golf buggies because my son was with me. I said, I've got 2 golf buggies here. We'll go across in the golf buggies. So we walked through the show, through the exhibition hall. We got in the golf buggies. We set off. And my son set off first, right? And I was behind him. And me being an old racer and whatnot, and we were all in high spirits. I thought, right. So I carved him up at the first corner, right? Everybody cheered, both buggies. They were all cheering like mad. And they were saying, yeah, good lad, And Stan Dibbon, who was probably in his 80s at that time, I don't know, he was on the buggy with my son. And he said to my son, don't let your dad do that to you. Let's get him. And so they came after me, and they passed me. And I can always remember my son driving a golf buggy on 2 wheels with Stan Dibbon hanging off the side, like a sidecar passenger, as we went down to the next bend, and all my lot egging me on to say, come on. And so we had 2 golf buggies tearing up to the auction with passengers hanging off either side in typical sidecar racing fashion. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. Those people know how to enjoy themselves.
Good. Oh, great fun. Oh, great fun. We've got some lovely memories, haven't we, of our various celebs. Around Alderson, he's always a lovely favourite to have. Always a lovely gentleman.
Rauno was a wonderful guy. Yeah, a really clever engineer, automotive development engineer as well. Rauno came first of all and drove his. There is a guy that was a good friend of the show who owned the Patmos Healey.
Yeah.
And Rauno's Monte Carlo winning Cooper S. And so we had Rauno over, and he drove the Cooper S. But we also had an Aston Martin V8 tarmac rally car, which had been specially developed for the European Rally Championship. And I said to him, would you drive that? I asked if he would drive that. And he said, oh, yeah, I'd like to try that. So he set off in this Aston, and almighty spin, 360-degree spin, first spin. I thought, oh dear. Anyway, down to the next one, another spin. And then he came round, and then he came back into the paddock and he said, I understand this car now. And then he went out, absolutely nailed it around the rally stage. And it was, of course, a V8 Aston Martin, sounding fantastic. And that was a time when the show had been changed hands. We sold it to the next owners, Live Promotions. And I put their event director in with him, and he'd never been in a rally car before. And
I can still hear him screaming now.
he was just amazed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because we have Mark Higgins that year as well.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, Mark drove the Aston as well. Yeah, it's the first time I had Mark Higgins as well. He's been to the show. And Rauno came 2019, I think, was the last time Rauno joined us.
He's been a time or two, yeah.
Yeah, he's always good fun.
Nice guy.
Yeah, he is good fun. Of course, no, we don't. Sadly, we don't have as much bike content now, and I know that's something that Clarion, the owners currently, would love to address and get more bike content. Because I remember when we had lovely Mr. Agostini joined us.
Oh yeah, and that was again, that was a very special. He came twice, did Agon?
Yeah.
The first time he came, I mean, I'd been trying to get hold of him because to me, he 15 times world champion, a fabulous guy. And I tried to find how to get hold of him and how could I get him to the show. And then I got in touch with a chap called Aldo, who is his PR manager and does his merchandising and everything for him. And I managed to get hold of Aldo and said, I'd like Mr. Agostini to come to the show. And they all call him Ago. Yeah. So I speak to Ago. So that was it. I'm waiting to hear. And I was walking around the NEC at another exhibition with my phone in my pocket, and my phone rang. And I picked the phone out and put it to my ear, and this voice said, Mr. Alderson. I said, yes. He said, Agostini is here. And I'm sort of going, I'm looking for people to say, Agostini's on my phone. Agostini's on my phone. Anyway, we did the deal, and he came over. And of course, he was another incredibly popular personality to have. So, very, very aware of his public. I mean, I remember that first year he came, we were rushing to get him back to the airport to catch his flight. And I had a car ready to take him, and I was saying, I said, come on, you've got to get in the car. And he said to me, no, these are my public. He was aware that these are the people, that was why he was still popular, because he was looking after his public. Now, that's
the same with Ari Vatanen, who is a good, real favourite of mine. I'd work with him every day of the week if I could. I've been at the point where I've had to say to Ari, we need to leave now. You need to get in your car, else you're going to miss your flight. He's offered to help people dismantle their stands before. And I remember the first time Ari came, that's when I realised what a rock star he was for these fans, because I remember being in an aisle and suddenly a gentleman put his hands on the side of my arms and picked me up and moved me so he could get next to Harry rather than me blocking him. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a tough lass to move. You know what I mean? I'm not built to move like that. So yeah, it was quite a wow. Okay, this guy is huge, and he's just amazing every time we have him. He's just got, I think we can have him every year and we'd still have queues out the door for signings and things.
There is a lovely picture of you, me and Harry and Vernon Webley, who was our chief marshal at the time.
Yeah, because we have to mention your friends at Falcon Motor Club, who for many, many years were all our marshals on the live rally stage and did us proud, kept everybody safe. Yeah, lovely Vernon. Yeah, but we've had some greats. We've had some people as well that we've had bigger, we've had some, as you try and get more modern names into the show, you do realise how different they are to the legends, the people who I consider legends, the ones we've worked with, because you can tell, and the public can tell very much so, if they don't want to be there. And I won't name names, but we have had a couple of more modern racing drivers that it's just like they don't want to be here. It's a paycheck, send them away. And I think you can really tell that the people who do it for passion stand out a mile.
Absolutely. I just feel that I was very fortunate in I was involved in it, 15 plus years. And I don't think that the people who are doing the job after me are going to have as much pleasure from it or as much success. The wonderful thing for me is I've always been interested in motorsport, motorcycle sport, and I've met so many of my heroes and became friends with them through Race Retro. And I think those guys, they were professionals. They made their living out of the sport, but they weren't paid, multi-million pounds, the sort of money that we talk about Formula One drivers being paid now. Also, they were paid starting money. If they were racing, they worked on a lot of starting money, as well as the retainers from the trade sponsors. So a racing driver would go to a race meeting and he wouldn't just drive the Formula One car, he would drive the sports car and the saloon cars and everything, because he picked up more money every time he raced. So they were used to that. And when we came to bringing them, when the historic motorsport business became big time, as it is now, these people came back. And it was a second spin around the block for them.
Yeah.
People remembered them, and the people wanted to talk to them. And they weren't the superstars that with bodyguards and everything that we have now. They were people who were accessible to the public. And so I had a wonderful time with all these people. They were very down to earth. I always remember the sort of stories that they told me. Frank Perris, who was a motorcycle racer, he rode the 250 Suzukis when they first came over from Japan. That was the year we had Jim Redman, who was the Honda rider. We had Phil Reed, who was the Yamaha rider. And we had Frank Perris, who was the Suzuki rider. Now, they fought out the 250 TT that year and various other World Championship rounds. And Frank Perris said to me, I was making money as a motorcycle racer. He was a very good UK racer, British racer. And he said, I was making money. I was doing a few Grand Prix. He was riding the single-cylinder matchlesses and things like that. And he said, and I got introduced to the Japanese people. It was Suzuki. They were unknown. But they said, we're making this 250cc race bike, and we think you're very good, and we want you to ride for us. So he'd had a meeting with them, and then they'd come over to the UK again and said, right, okay, we want to sign you up. And they took him down to the bank, and this was in London, took him to the bank, went into the bank, little Japanese team manager went into the bank, came out with a briefcase full of money and said, okay, Mr. Perris, we have a contract, and this is your retainer. And he said there was £1,200 in this case. And he said, I'd never seen that much money in my life. He said, I took this briefcase of money home, and he said, my wife and I, he said, he said, I was a professional rider, and he said, I was paying my way, but he said it was a bit touch and go at times. And he said, we spread this £1,200 out on the lounge floor and rolled in it.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So I do feel, it won't be the same. The amount that people will want such massive amounts of money to make public appearances, and the shows can't support it. There isn't that much money in the shows to pay these vast sums. I did once attempt to bring Mario Andretti over, but the cost that we were talking about was bankrupted the show.
Yeah.
So,
no, I've had it as well, especially from that, that era of when Coulthard and Damon Hill and all those, the Jack Villeneuves and stuff. And I think people just don't understand, one, the level of fee they want, and then you've got to fly them in. They'll want to come business, they may have an entourage they want to bring, and it's just not viable. But hopefully, each year we manage to find the right people, and we keep finding names that are, even last year, Didier Auriel, very popular. So we just keep going, keep asking. I've been asking Mika Hakkinen for about 3 years now, and I won't give up. I won't give up.
Well, over the years, we've had some big stars. We had Hannah Mikkola, we've had Marco Allaire.
Yeah.
We've had Johnny Herbert. He was
he was amazing. I'd love Johnny to come back. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. Yeah.
And with some, with the top motorcycle races and
Freddie Spencer we had as well. He was wonderful when Freddie joined us. Tom Christensen's been. So we're getting some good names. But, it's good. I've got a hard act to follow, David. That's my problem.
That's very kind of you. The important thing that I was always aware of is historic, whatever you're interested in. Nostalgia is a wonderful business. It's a business that we've discovered in the last 25 years. Nostalgia is the biggest growth business I think there is. But you have to make sure you keep moving forward. And I always used to think to myself, right, you see, I'm of a certain age where I can remember sports racing car, wonderful sports racing car to me, D-Type Jaguar at Le Mans or the Aston Martin DBRs. But my son, of course, who is, he's almost 30 years younger than me, if I say to him, what do you think is the ultimate sports racing car? Oh, Dad, it's got to be a Rothmans liveried Porsche 956, because he was 6 years old when he saw one.
Yeah.
And that's what's in his mind. That is what is in his mind. And so whoever is bringing the content to the show or the guests to the show must bear in mind, yes, we had a wonderful long run of Group B rally cars, but the people who are interested in rallying now, they want to see the Super World Rally Championship cars which are running now. That's what they want to see. The Subarus, all of a sudden, when the Subarus, when they came, and the Mitsubishis, wonderful. That's the next generation of enthusiasts.
Well,
that's what you have to work on.
That's what I have to work on. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you, David. And I know historically we've gone for hours chatting over many bottles of wine.
We have.
And I've missed seeing you this year, and I can't wait to give you a big cuddle soon.
We'll get together. David. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody's enjoyed that chat and we haven't bored them all to tears. And I hope they're enjoying the Reis Race Retro Revisited Day.
At least I'll be able to see them online, even if we can't chat, and sit in the bar of the Stoneleigh Park Lodge and tell tall tales. Because, the older we are, the faster we were.